WHS. Now, cameras on us.
Let them set up.
Yeah.
Let them ball level the camera. Hey, Harsh.
This time DA will find some room to the right side and move up and eventually push out of bounds.
Down at the Daggerback bench, and they have the big water.
It's number 89, Nathaniel Wilson, who got there. This time DA will find some room to the right side and move up and eventually.
Hello and welcome to the Whsfl AAA Varsity Final Game. I'm Cole Malo.
And this is Vivek Prabhaharan. And today, the St. Norbert Celtics will be going up against Dryden Eagles. As every other final, this should be a great one too.
The last time these two teams faced off against each other, the Celtics won. So expect redemption for the Eagles tonight.
We're students in the broadcast media program. And before we start, here's a quick look at what we do at our program.
Do you enjoy expressing your creativity by operating cameras, filmmaking, audio mixing, streaming, directing, editing, and the list goes on, and want to learn more or possibly even turn one into a future career? Then the broadcast media program at ATC is the best choice for you and a good way to start your broadcasting journey. With no risk and a whole lot of rewards, the opportunities are endless.
What other chance would you get to actually talk to like an industry professional about a job that you want to be in your future, other than like right here?
With access to professional equipment at a high school level, the students can learn the basics of all broadcasting fields and are encouraged to learn more of the preferred part of the industry. In the broadcast media program, you get to learn hands-on experience behind the lens of the broadcast cameras, operating and adjusting the settings, or maybe being on the other side of the lens by being the announcer. Maybe you like to talk. Well then, you can go and create your own podcast with your own topics and your own guests. Still love to talk and love music? Well, the radio room is a fantastic area where you can make your own desired segments and operate the audio mixer for an actual radio station that people can listen to. With access to Adobe products, students can test their creativity with a software like Premiere Pro, Photoshop, or write their scripts with the professional newsroom software. And let's not forget about how fun the whole class can be just outside of the classroom. We take our act on the road and broadcast some of the biggest high school sports events at some of the coolest places like the University of Manitoba. We've gone to Investors Group Athletic Center for basketball and volleyball, and football at the Investors Group field where the Bombers call home. I'm on the field with a camera doing handheld. I'm going in the huddles, dodging the players that are running at me. I find it really cool that I can just actually be there. This 10-month-long course of constant learning provides students with the opportunity to go for a 3-week internship in the broadcasting field to learn more about their industry. If you are interested, check out the broadcast media program by scanning this QR code or check out the website at www.LRSD.TV to learn more about what we do.
And cut, that's a wrap.
That was just a brief look of what we like to do at LRSD TV.
Now it's over to Mike Still and Daniel Washnock to call on the action.
Good evening, football fans, and thank you for tuning in to LRSD TV for tonight's broadcast of the AAA Championship between the Dryden Eagles and the St. Norbert Celtics. And Dan, we've got a classic on our hands here between number 5 ranked St. Norbert and number 3 Dryden. Two teams that have had an interesting journey to get here. Played once in the regular season, St. Norbert with the win. Prestigious programs, long history, run versus pass, and we should be in for a thriller today.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really, I had a really good time enjoying the semifinal games coming into this. That's something I like to try and do before coming to these games, is really at least make sure I'm watching the semifinals. And St. Norbert did such a good job against Churchill that I think that that's really going to have them prepped up for what Dryden's trying to do here.
Yeah, St. Norbert coming into this game, beating Churchill 17-14, knocking off the number 2 ranked team in AAA. Whereas the Dryden Eagles come into this game, knocking off number 1 ranked Fort Francis 31-24. So certainly both of these teams earning their way in, no doubt about it. Dryden Eagles' last championship in the WHSFL was in 2016. St. Norbert has not won a championship in the WHSFL. So For one of these teams, it's going to be a very exciting moment. We are now going to take a pause to recognize Darius Hartshorn, who had passed away, unfortunately. The Winnipeg High School Football League heartbroken over the loss of one of our own. A senior at Whsfl, played on both the O and D line for the Spartans, proudly wearing number 57. Tragically injured during the final game of the regular season, passed away last Wednesday, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family, teammates, friends, as well as his classmates at Whsfl High.
The Winnipeg Football Club recognizes that Princess Harbor Stadium is located on Treaty 1 land, traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Dakota, and Lakota, and resides in the homeland of the Red Blue Métis. We also recognize our community's relationship with Dene and Inuit peoples, and that our city's water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation. In this spirit, we commit to a path of reconciliation and moving forward in partnership with one another in Albany.
And would you please remain standing as we have Matea Joss of Living Music Winnipeg School of Music sing our national anthem.
Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Between the St. Norbert Celtics, ranked number 5 in AAA this season at 4-3 in the regular season, and number 3 Dryden, ranked 5-2 in the regular season. Should be a great contest for the Dryden Eagles. Look out for their running back, Rainer Powell, 68 carries for 579 yards and 8 touchdowns in the regular season, as well as 13 receptions for 239 yards and 5 touchdowns. So he certainly has done a little bit of everything. That Dryden side combining for over 1,000 rushing yards. Nolan Fedia, 31 carries for 305 yards on the ground as well. Drake Schneider, 50 carries, 270 yards and 3 touchdowns. And on the other side for St. Norbert, they focus more on the passing game. Quarterback Darshawn Caffley threw for 1,248 yards in the regular season and 13 passing touchdowns. And his favorite receiver on the year was Rhett Huntley, the son of head coach Adrian, who had a career year, record-breaking year for the St. Norbert Celtics, a WHSFL record, 268 receiving yards in a single game that broke a 16-year league record. Overall, he had 702 yards receiving and 8 scores, and down that was on just 29 receptions, so the yards per catch just under 30 yards a grab. Certainly going to be an X factor for that side.
That's just incredible. You know, he obviously comes by it honestly with his father and their roots there. Yeah, you know, offensively, I'm really excited to see what Dryden's number 10 is, their quarterback, is Moyer. He was kind of all over the place. He's their punter. I think he was playing some safety, but I might have been mistaken. Might have been number 18 back there. But as a quarterback, really great weapon, really great punter. He was doing a really good job on that rugby-style punt. So I'm excited to see that tonight because I always like those little bit of different things that might make the difference on that special teams game. For St. Norbert, number 25, Riel. Rylan Harder, he really popped off the tape for me. He's just a downhill runner. And speaking of special teams, he had a punt return touchdown against Churchill that was able to tie up that game later on that second half. Defensively, I really love from Dryden. Number 38 is Zach Robinson. He has great flow as a linebacker. Like, he's not necessarily that downhill, in-your-face kind of linebacker that you sometimes think of. But when I'm watching tape on linebackers, I love the ones that have that lateral downhill movement, that lateral movement sideline to sideline, not just able to smash gaps. And the other person for St. Norbert, Luis Vasconcelos, number 7, he was really explosive off the ball. And the way he was able to get some penetration against when Churchill came out in their wing tees, lots of players in the box kind of style offense, he was really disruptive to a lot of those plays. And the reason I bring that up last, as we're kind of getting to the kickoff here, is Dryden runs a variation of that. It's not quite as condensed as what they would have seen against Churchill last week, but a lot of the motion, a lot of the movement, St. Norbert was going to get a bit of a preview of that playing Churchill that Dryden's going to kind of bring here. A lot of jet motions kind of going over the top of the quarterback, but the big thing to key in will be on that tailback. He'll let you know where the ball's going.
12 sacks in the season for St. Norbert. You mentioned Vasconcelos. He had a team-leading 4 of those sacks for them. So certainly some playmakers, as you mentioned, on both sides of the ball. As we get ready to go, it's going to be the Dryden Eagles that are going to receive this kickoff. As you can clearly tell, fans watching this game, these two teams have borderline identical jersey sets. So that's always a fun time for the broadcast crew up here. As we are ready to go for the AAA Championship, this kick is up and received just past the 35-yard line, taken up past the 40 to the 42-yard line. And that is where the Eagles will start this football game.
That was a nice little pop-up there. Like, it's not the deepest kickoff you can get, but it had that really great hang time. It almost acted like that punt. And if you're able to contain the team kind of on the 40, 45, yeah, that's good field position. But from a cover team perspective, you kick that to the 20 and they get a decent 20-yard return, you're in the same spot anyway. This, when you hang that ball up in there, you never know when you're going to be able to get a chance to get it.
That one fielded by Ethan Willis for the Dryden Eagles as they come out on offense. An I formation look, heavy package. Toss play to the strong side. It's Rainer Powell, their lead back, stuffed behind the line of scrimmage for a short loss. Among those in to make the tackle, Ryder Nelson. 2nd and long for Dryden.
Yeah, that was a great tackle from Ryder. I was talking about 38 having great flow there. That was a good example of great flow on his end. And that's what you're going to see out of Dryden is they have this motion that's going to be happening around. But really, when you key in on that tailback, the quarterback who's going to be the running back who's going to be staying behind the QB, that's where that ball's going more often than not. He's a great lead blocker and he's a great ball carrier.
No gain on the play for the Eagles. They will pass on 2nd down. It's an open target there, but incomplete. Intended receiver was Nolan Fediak, but that one drops incomplete. Good coverage on the play by the Celtics.
Yeah, Logan Sheed had the coverage on that. He's the one who just had that kickoff as well. And that was a good job just not panicking. Corner routes are very difficult to cover, in high school especially. They're almost always open. To just stay in that hip and make it as difficult to catch as possible, sometimes all that defensive back can do, needs to do if you're going to get your face crossed. So I think we'll get a look at this rugby-style punt here. I'm just getting it up here.
That one takes a Eagles bounce to the 31-yard line, fielded there by the Celtics. That's Rhett Huntley up past the 35-yard line. Certainly going to call his name, I'm sure, often in this game. And St. Norbert will field this football for the first time.
And there's the punter making the tackle as well. Quarterback making the tackle, at least forcing him out of bounds. Like I said, number 10, Moyer, is going to be all over the field for them. Big important piece of their offense.
Senior quarterback, punter, specialist athlete, as they call it in today's modern game. Doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, both teams were showing kind of that standard 40 front on defense as well. Looking forward to diving into that. But for now, we're going to see a nice I-31. Often when St. Norbert comes out in this look, they want to run the ball kind of away from that trips look.
Toss play to the strong side. That is Rylan Harder on the carry. Tried to find the edge. Gain of about 2. Good contain. Oh, he's still going, pushing forward. Gains about 4, almost 5, when it looked like he was going to be stopped there for minimal gain. setting up a second and manageable for the Celtics.
Yeah, once he turned it up at the sidelines, they were able to just kind of keep his feet turning. And that's what I get for guessing the play on the first snap of the game, right? You know, they're going to show that trips look and then run to it. And that's what Coach Huntley really likes to do, is use that trips to kind of move things around, see how the defense is going to play. If you're going to leave an overhang halfback just kind of hanging out there, great, we'll go to the side where you're a little more outnumbered. And they are coming back in on the trips look again. And we can see that we're getting double coverage from the Eagles.
Screen pass, that one is caught by Logan Whsfl for a first down for the Celtics. Well executed, St. Norbert in rhythm.
Yeah, beautiful job there. That's just recognizing what the defense is doing. But the Dryden clearly saw that they don't want to leave that ISO receiver uncovered. They double covered just straight up like an ex-gunner on punt that you'd see down stateside. Okay, you're double covering over there, you're outnumbered on the trip side. Let's throw a quick little bubble screen and just go get positive yardage. Very good quick heads up play and good on target pass for Catholic.
Caffley leading AAA with 1,284 passing yards in the regular season, 13 touchdowns. He's going to spread the ball out all throughout this contest as he calls the signals on first down, rolls to his right, looks for a man. That one is incomplete. Intended target, so he was decent play.
So that, I guess, kind of puts the picture together for me here. It's not necessarily the ISO receiver that they're going to try and double cover. It looks like they're double covering number 83, which I'm assuming, oh no, not 83. It's likely Huntley. Ooh.
We've got a man down for St. Norbert on the play, kind of late as they were sort of setting up in the huddle. It's Luis Vasconcelos, so you mentioned earlier on there, down is an important piece for the Celtics, so we hope he's okay. While we have the opportunity to kind of break it down, you talked about Coach Huntley there for a second, Adrian Huntley, longtime coach for the St. Norbert Celtics. And on the other side, Jeff Zelkins, longtime coach for Dryden. And Dan, these are two really well-respected coaches in the Winnipeg High School Football League.
Yeah, there's some games that, I say this often when I'm watching playoff football. I'm cheering for overtime because I just want as much football as possible. And this is one of those games where I'm going to be so happy for whichever head coach, whichever program comes out on top tonight. And they're both really great guys, great coaches who are dedicated and put a lot of work in.
Zilkin's been with that Dryden program from its inception, and Huntley, of course, a long-time coach for St. Norbert, the former Manitoba Bison, as Caffley rolls to his left, and that ball is intercepted by the Eagles to the 40-yard line, picked off on the play by Jackson Wilson.
Yeah, Dryden is just doing a really good job. They're just kind of keeping it simple. They're saying, okay, you've got a #1 receiver. We're going to put 2 defensive backs on. It's almost like they're running a bird dog kind of coverage. Bird dog usually have one of your top DBs shadow their best receiver, and then you usually run zone around it. They're just going to go for a bracket, just a cover 0 bracket. We are committing 2 defensive backs. We're not going to have a safety. But when that ball hangs up, DBs are still going to go make plays on it.
Eagles set up with their second offensive possession under center. That one right up the gut, churning forward for solid yardage.
Yeah, Drake Schneider taking the ball there. And again, that position, that tailback position on the quarterback, if you're watching at home and you're going to see Dryden, their slots are more like a wide wing. They're kind of still in the box, even though they're spread out a little wider. But, anytime we were preparing for Dryden, we kind of knew that those players were going to be the ones who were moving around a fair bit. But that key, if you're looking for where the ball's going to end going, be checking number 30.
Schneider with 3 touchdowns, 270 yards on the season, as the Eagles like to balance that ball out. Rainer Powell was their lead back, but multiple athletes are going to carry that football. As once again, Schneider pushing forward, and he should have enough for the first down.
Yeah, and Ryder Nelson getting in there. I mentioned him earlier that he's someone who just absolutely flies around. He had that tackle on that outside stretch play, that toss earlier, and he's showing blitz, pre-snap, recognize going on, then coming downhill to make that tackle in the gap. I mentioned he's able to fly around, but he'll smash as well. Looks like we're getting the sticks checked out here. I'm not sure what the issue is.
Yeah, trying to get the right spot.
You got to mark the 45.
Yeah, Dryden was eager to get to the line of scrimmage here as St. Norbert set up, ready for this play, but they're just making sure they have the spot correct. Long time referee Dale Jacobson is our head ref for this game. Very well respected in this community. legendary, I would say, and he's leading the charge tonight for the officials.
And he's responsible for the official scheduling for our entire league. So he comes to our scheduling meeting in the summer, and he does an amazing job. All we've had is just expansion, expansion, expansion. He's been able to make it work with his officials. He's been able to get us set up. He's done a fantastic job in just making sure that this league is able to run. And I will probably later in the game come back to my big officials push.
Yes, please. Yeah,
but,
absolutely. Once a game, we got to get that in there for sure. It's important.
Third down.
So just short here, and it'll be an interesting decision here for the Eagles.
You know, you just got 4.5 yards of carry running your downhill dive to number 30 to Schneider. Thank you. I wouldn't be surprised if you come right back to that.
Yeah, definitely. Positive yardage there from Schneider, and again, Nolan Fediak, who's also been an intended target in this game, is going to get some carries too. And Powell, you're certainly going to see those three get a lot of action. Third down, big play early in the first quarter. And yep, right up the middle, Dan, almost like you called it, and you did. First down, Eagles.
That was a good job just kind of finding the bubble there. You had Vasconcelos and number 69 for St. Norbert, Hardman. Both of them were really impactful against Churchill. They were taking away those A gaps. So if that's where some of their best players are sitting, they're not going to give up that ground easily. He did a great job finding the bubble. Not necessarily trying to take it outside. You still got to go get that positive yards, but not taking it right up the middle either.
Moyer under center. He's going to roll to his right, take it himself. Breaks away from multiple players. Emerson Moyer getting enough for the first down for the Eagles.
He's a great job running that option. So now he's got that player kind of hanging out behind Schneider and rolling away from it and got upfield. He keeps it himself and got himself a first down too.
So Powell's touched this football. Schneider's got some carries. Moyer running the rock as well, as the Eagles demonstrating that balanced run game that helped them get to the dance. As they move into St. Norbert territory. Moyer under center in the eye. Powell motions out of the backfield. He's going to take it again, Moyer, but this time nothing. Doing great read, and it's our man Luis Vasconcelos at the TFL.
Yeah, obviously feeling pretty good after coming off the field earlier there. Is explosive off the ball again. You have to occupy that kind of interior. With this offense, with all that misdirection and trying to keep your quarterback involved in the game, defensive interiors can be incredibly disruptive. They can be incredibly disruptive against any kind of offense, but especially ones where if they're coming through clean and there's a lot of that misdirection motion happening, they can be in those running lanes immediately.
2nd and 11 for the Eagles. Back to pass is Moyer. That one incomplete. Once again, he was looking for Fediak, but just a little bit high.
Yeah, really creative there. A little bit of a zip-zap motion. So zip-zap's what we refer to in our program, where you have someone kind of come on like a jet motion into the backfield. You want the defense to adjust. Some defenses will slide the halfback to safety and the safety up. Some defense will have the DBs bump into the box like linebackers. But if they take their eyes off that receiver, they come in and then they head back out on their route and can sometimes get lost in the mess.
Punted away by Moyer. Hang time there up to the 25. Loose football on the ground. The Celtics able to get right back on top of it. But tackle made immediately on the play by Ryan Kruger.
Yeah, hopefully Harder, the returner there for St. Norbert, keeps his head up here and doesn't let that bother him, because honestly getting back on top of that ball is a great play in and of itself. You don't ever want to cough up that kind of ball security, but you limit the damage and you still have possession. So yeah, you lost 10 yards, but you didn't lose the football. So 2-5 should be happy that he was able to just kind of corral it and not panic. He's going to get lots of touches here anyway, so.
Caffley calling the signals. Two backs behind him here. Trips to the strong side. Handed off to the fullback, spin move. Gain of about 2 on the play for Arthur Chornaby.
And this is, you know, they're really committing to St. Norbert's pass. You mentioned the amount of yards that they were able to rack up all year. Dryden is saying, yeah, you're not throwing the ball. So not only are they double covering and running that bracket over top of their top receiver, but they're also leaving a bit of an overhang halfback linebacker on the ISO side as well. So they're going cover 0. Cover 0 is typically what you want to throw against, but the way they're committing to the pass with this cover 0, it is going to open up run lanes.
Screen pass. That one is incomplete. Trying to make something happen there for BJ Mateo, but sophomore unable to hold on.
One thing I really like that St. Norbert did there is they were a lot quicker to the ball on that. Once they broke their huddle, they were getting to spots, they were getting a little bit of that hurry-up snap to it, that little bit of hurry-up cadence, because with the amount of movement Dryden's doing to try and get those two receivers on top, those two defensive backs on top, they don't have as much time to recognize what's going on. So if you can get on that ball quickly and get those snaps off quickly, you can maybe catch Dryden a little bit flat-footed.
2 returners back for the Eagles. They should get solid field position off of this punt. Owen booted away around the 45-yard line. Takes a St. Norbert bounce up back to the Eagles' 50-yard line. Fielded there by Ethan Willis up to the Eagles' 52.
Great job from Rhett Huntley there, being the one who's able to kind of force things out of bounds, number 11.
We'll wait for the call on the field. No yards or an illegal block. Will be no yards, I believe.
Correct, yes. Yeah, number 85 is coming down to coverage. You did a good job almost ducking the punt.
85, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Kind of ducked the ball to not take that no yards penalty, and then he just kind of got caught himself in that 5-yard restraining zone.
Moyer under center as this possession begins. Big gain right up the middle. First down for the Eagles. Fedia getting involved, and again, he did that often. 305 yards in the regular season for him as the three-headed monster starts to get going for Dryden.
Yeah, Coach Zilkins and Coaches McKenzie kind of coordinate the offense for Dryden. I really love that look. It's just lead. It's a really straightforward play, but if you can't take away lead or ISO, depending on where you come from, it's really hard to win football games. And they do a great job of just doing a little bit of motion, swapping out that wing back for the tailback, and just getting different people touches while still running the same blocking schemes.
Hand off to the fullback. That one stopped after a short gain on the play, Schneider.
I really like what Dryden just tried to do here. So they just tried to run a bit of a trap on this. So rather than just that downhill dive, they pulled a guard towards Vasconcelos to try and occupy him. He's really good. So if you can get him thinking, hey, I'm unblocked again, then that trap hits. But Vasconcelos held his ground really well and then was able to get off that block and get a tackle for a 2-yard gain. That's a great play. Like, I love the idea from Dryden, and I love the execution from Vasconcelos.
Moyer with a little bit of motion from Fedia to the short side. He's going to go deep. He's got a man, and that one is incomplete, in and out of the outstretched hands of Ethan Willis on the deep shot.
That was a great ball. It was right in a good spot. They just couldn't complete the connection. And that's, all referred to as a sales concept. Some folks call it levels, just the idea of a short out, a deeper out, and then that vertical. And that's a great route combination against man or zone coverages. It's a little bit better against zone because you're hoping that short out sucks up the shallow defender and the vertical carries the deep defender. But if you get man coverage, take that go ball.
That ball bounces as Moyer able to get a quality punt away back to the St. Norbert 10-yard line, fielded there by Huntley, breaks away from one defender, surges forward up to near the 20-yard line. Great job by Moyer off the bounce to get that one away.
And staying calm. And then one thing he does really, really well, and I can't mention this rugby-style punt, like last week, they were really kind of rolling out with it against Fort. He was getting out of the box, and the idea behind a rugby-style punt is your punter's on the move, and if they get no pressure, no rush, they just keep running until they have a first down or are forced to punt it. And he kicks the ball really well on the run. Like, he's attacking that line of scrimmage and getting great height and distance out of it. It's really well done. It's good athletic play.
Caffley and the St. Norbert offense back out for their third offensive possession. Back to pass. Feeling a little bit of pressure. Steps up into the pocket. Still surging forward. It's going to end with a gain of about 4 there as he tried to find a man downfield. But once again, this Eagles secondary doing a really good job against some of those athletic playmakers.
Yeah, that was a good job finding that escape lane. Like, I'd love to see if he gets a little more involved in that run because they flooded out both their running backs as well. So you've got 2 DBs committed to their top receiver. You've got the DBs are kind of trying to find themselves. You'll notice pre-snap Dryden is getting a little bit not sure where they're supposed to be. Now, when you flood out those running backs, the linebackers have to go with it. So a quarterback draw style play might be really available for St. Norbert as they go through this game.
Caffley, the senior, lining up here, two running backs behind him as he rolls to the right. Throws that one up, and it's caught. What a grab by Riel. Huntley. Great concentration as it went in and out of the fingertips of Ryan Kruger, right into the hands of the WHSFL's leading receiver in AAA.
Really just fantastic job. We got another player down here for St. Norbert, or sorry, for Dryden. That's going to give a chance to kind of catch the breath, because it's been a pretty high-octane game already. Like, a lot of plays are just kind of getting downfield. There's close calls, and a great play like that where you just have to concentrate all the way through to make that catch. Sometimes, you know, some receivers are really good at that. You know, when that ball hangs up in the air and you have time to see it coming in, think about it, that's when sometimes the mind starts to go and our eyes trail off the ball. But those, like, instinct catches where that ball's just around and you're just letting your body do its work, sometimes for some receivers are just, that's their bread and butter.
Huntley leading the WHSFL in AAA with 702 yards on 29 receptions, 8 scores. I'm also very impressed by quarterback Caffley. Southpaw rolling to his right, making some of these throws. Not the easiest thing to do in the world, especially with pressure in his face. Trips to the strong side for the Celtics as Caffley calls out the signals. Once again, he'll look to pass, rolling to his left. Throws this one up and just a little bit too far out of bounds there for the intended target on the play. Coverage from Nick Iwanek.
Yeah, just a pretty, like, nothing really to comment on that. Just we kind of get away from the pocket. We take that shot. You know, I mentioned those corner routes are very difficult for defensive backs to cover. They're also difficult for offenses to complete. It's a long throw. You're putting it to a spot, hoping your receiver runs underneath it. And it's difficult to cover. It's difficult to complete. When you can get a quarterback and a receiver get on the same page and they're able to consistently throw and catch corner routes, that becomes really, really dangerous at this high school level.
So we're through the first 12 minutes of play. No score yet in this football game as both defenses doing a sensational job. The most notable play so far, an interception from Jackson Wilson for the Eagles, as they've done a really good job, Dan, so far of minimizing that potent passing game from the Celtics.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I keep talking about how they're committing all these players to coverage, but there's also not a lot of time to just sit back and let someone uncover themselves. Their defensive line of the Eagles is getting through and making just life a little uncomfortable.
Caffley gonna throw here on second down. This ball is up and incomplete. Couple players had a shot there. BJ Mateo, Rhett Huntley, both in the area, but that one goes to the turf. We've got an injured player down, Nick Iwanek, for the Eagles.
Yeah, it was a great concept just to kind of get those rub routes. So those routes are crossing each other's faces, and you just kind of end up creating a little bit of collision behind the defensive backs. Weren't able to complete the pass, but they were able to just kind of get that. Both receivers had an opportunity to be open. But I mentioned this earlier. When those running backs flood out for St. Norbert, there's a lot of field open for Caffley to take off.
Logan Weiss back to punt this football away for St. Norbert. End over end kick, bounces, takes a St. Norbert bounce all the way back to the 28 and just falling on there. No yards as well. At the end of that play is jumping on top of that one for Dryden was Rainer Powell.
Now, I'm not certain because I didn't pay that close attention, but the head of steam number 8 just came in with there for St. Norbert, Hale. If he was the punter, they'll be picking this flag up because if that was correct, he was really looking to collect that ball himself. Does not look like he was the punter.
Yeah, it looked to be 33.
No yards. St. Norbert, number 8. 15-yard penalty.
Will be accepted.
First down.
Up to the 44. So Dryden will take over. We've seen Rainer Powell, Nolan Fediak, Drake Schneider, and Emerson Moyer, all 4 run the rock at various times in this football game for a successful ground game all season for the Eagles. And it's Moyer taking it once again. stymied right around the line of scrimmage by Ryder Nelson.
Yeah, and this is a Dryden classic. Just we're going to get that same kind of motion. It looks like it's almost going to be a toss to the tailback, and just becomes a quarterback power. Instead of pitching it out, he's just going to continue and follow those blockers. And like most fast flow plays, they're trying to get to the sidelines before they turn it up. If the defense can stretch it out and let people like number 40, Pescatelli, who made that tackle there, have those lanes and close things down, as long as you don't give up the edge clean, you're going to have an opportunity to get a TFL.
Moyer taking it himself, and another first down as Moyer starting to get going, getting momentum in the ground game.
And what a fantastic play by Moyer. So exact same look coming to the field side here. It's that quarterback power. Well, the defense just saw it. They stretched out really well. They were flying over to that fast flow. Great, he cuts it up immediately. You vacate the middle. He put his foot in the ground and went and got positive yardage. That's now going to slow the defense back down again.
Moyer handing it off to the fullback, loose ball on the ground, and that is going to be St. Norbert football. Both teams turning the ball over once each, as that one was recovered by Akeem Fall, who's unfortunately down on the field after that play as it pops out, Fall right on top of it.
Yeah, he did it. Like the defense adjusted to that countering, and I love the idea from Dryden there to kind of show that same action. Now they're countering back with that fullback. He steps to the QB power, comes back, takes the handoff underneath. It was going for really positive yardage, but sometimes effort plays matter. That's why you don't watch the play and become a spectator. If you're a defensive back, you go get yourself involved in the run game, because sometimes you're going to find yourself on a loose ball.
Caffley on first down. Tossing to the strong side. There's some space out there. Good yardage up near the first down marker. Gain of about 9 for Ryland Harder.
Yeah, great run from Harder, but it was a really nice angle from Jackson Wilson. He did a great job kind of coming downhill on that. And anytime you can get that much edge, like seeing a pitch out of a pistol I formation, that little just quick toss, if the defense gets upfield really quickly, it's going to cut that off. St. Norbert got the edge, but then Wilson was able to kind of cut it off and at least prevent that first down. Give yourself a chance to still get off the field here in a 2-and-out. Trips to the short side here.
Caffley once again coming on in the pistol eye. I mentioned trips to the short side as he throws up a screen pass. That's caught with one hand by Rhett Huntley for a first down. What concentration. Second time in this game he's made a great grab with exceptional concentration.
And that was one thing I didn't mention here is that the Dryden has changed their defense. Now they've gone to more of a 50 front look to bring a little more attention up on front here, and they've gone to a single high safety. So they've kind of moved away from that double coverage cover zero, and it looks like they've got their safety hanging back again already. So they're mixing things up. We have the defense coordinator, Solomon, for Dryden, is already kind of mixing things up and not letting the St. Norbert get too comfortable in what they're trying to do to make their adjustments. If, I mentioned earlier that idea of if they recognize when they're flooding out the running backs, there's a lot of running lane. Well, against this defense, that's not as much of an option anymore. But does that now open up their vertical threats again? Does that let them come back to who they want to be as an offense? You were having a lot of success staying in that cover zero. Now, for me, I never like showing cover zero. That is terrifying to me. The idea of telling an offense pre-snap that we do not have a safety, that as a defensive coordinator, not a fan, but it's working. It's kept St. Norbert off the board. It's kept St. Norbert from moving the ball in big chunks. So the idea of changing up the defense, obviously I have not done as much tape or study and all of this as Dryden has done, and they're ready to go clearly. I like that we're seeing different defenses already. Is it a different package? Is it a different look? How are they going to continue to mix things up and not let St. Norbert get comfortable? Great job from Coach Solomon already.
That chess game, the game within the game, we're seeing that certainly play out in the first half.
A little bit of stacked cowboy here where a linebacker's right up on the heels of a 3-tech and a spread. This is a great pressure look.
See if the Eagles do bring pressure, as that would be number 24, Gage Lancaster, with the pressure, as that's Caffley surging forward for a gain of about 6.
Yeah, when Huntley comes across here on this play, it looks like at one point he kind of goes to pull the trigger. He's taking this kind of depth, this kind of hesitation from a player who's as fast as that. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's looking to throw that ball. So that's something that they've got in their back pocket to, again, try and open things up, just a little bit of building off of what they already do. And when you got an athlete doing that, okay, the play doesn't work out exactly what you want, hey, it's still 3 positive yards. They're in a good spot to stay on schedule here.
Caffley with trips to the strong side. Handoff to the short side for a first down and then some, still surging forward all the way down inside the 30-yard line. Big gain for Rylan Harder.
I'm going to call it Logan Weiss here with a great blocking on the perimeter as a corner. He got into his defensive back, maintained his block, and then was able to let it go before it became a factor. Sometimes those receivers, when you're blocking an open field, you know, when you're teaching that blocking, you want them to get hands on tight, you want to grab a little bit of cloth, but as soon as they start getting out of your cylinder, out of your torso, now the refs can see that clutching, you got to let go. He did a great job maintaining those hands in the tight window, running his feet, and ensuring that that became an even bigger gain for Harder to get upfield.
We've seen Weiss targeted in the passing game, punting the ball as well. Versatile threat for this St. Norbert side as Caffley rolls to his left. He's going deep. That one is up in the air, and it is caught. What a catch by Rhett Huntley. That is an incredible play, Dan.
Wow. So I was about to be very effusive of what Dryden just did, because I've been already talking about how Coach Solomon's coaching a great defensive game here. It's hard to coach against athletes with a nose for the ball. Like, you're in great position, you did everything right, and they completed the pass. That's tough. I love that they showed cover 0, which I hate doing, but then they drop back to a cover 2 shell pre-snap. So they end up going from a, hey, go ahead and throw the ball, to you cannot throw the ball unless you got Huntley catching it.
All 3 of Huntley's grabs have been contested. He's done a great job showcasing that skill set. As once again, this is a handoff up the middle, surging forward, still pushing down to the 1-yard line, and that's Rylan Harder, who's had a big drive and a big game for the Celtics.
He just keeps his feet pumping. He's just that exact kind of prototypical. Like, you look at him as he goes across the field here, he's by his teammates. He's not exactly the biggest body out on that field, but man, does he punch up. He runs way bigger than his size is. And that's neat. When you got someone who's got that quick shiftiness that's also willing to get into contact and get those hard yards, that's a special running back they have right there. Got tight splits, I'd expect, yeah.
Caffley under center. He's just going to push forward and get into the end zone. That's a touchdown for the St. Norbert Celtics.
Yeah, you know, great job just kind of hitting your offensive lineman in the back. Like, if you hit your lineman in the back and he goes into the end zone, you bet you are too. And just, I mentioned finding that bubble earlier. Caffley just did a really good job recognizing where that window was going to be. Rather than just kind of doing, you know, quarterback sneak, you just go forward, right? Being aware pre-snap of where the defense is and kind of sliding, not bouncing, but sliding down that line to find your bubble is a really well done job.
The big play on that drive from Rhett Huntley, but there was a run-pass balance with Rylan Harder with multiple big gains as well on the drive, as that convert is up and good from Hugo Dos Santos, the grade 9 kicker from St. Norbert. As the Celtics break the deadlock.
Yeah, I'm interesting. Now we got this kickoff happening again. Is it going to hang up a little bit more? The wind is not a factor at all tonight, so if that ball hangs up the same way, can St. Norbert get underneath it, at the very least keep it, you know, where that ball is being returned, whether it's actually returned or not, somewhere between the 30 and 40. At high school, this age, that's fine field position to start off with.
So we'll see what Dryden comes out with as a response. Of course, they've had 4 different ball carriers run the rock, including their quarterback, Emerson Moyer. That touchdown was thanks to a turnover from their defense, and that is the story early on. Both teams with 1 forced takeaway. It is the Celtics capitalizing with the opportunity that they had as they boot this ball back. Fielded in the air at the 30-yard line, getting a head start. Tyson Langless taken down just before the 35-yard line.
Yeah, great job from Logan Ouimet there, just tracking that returner down the entire way. Yeah, you mentioned, Dryden, they had a great drive. Like, if not for that fumble, they were moving the ball in chunks because they really started relying on Moyer as that run threat. And even when he was now handing the ball off, well, he's still the run threat that's going to draw the defender's eyes. So if they come right back to that, which has been their bread and butter, like that's, the offense runs through the quarterback. And for some teams, that's a little more true than others.
High formation for the Eagles. Moyer hands it off. And then, loose football once again, and it's the Celtics that are on top of it, Dan. Back-to-back drive, St. Norbert coming up with the football.
And really great job of just getting a hand in there from the defensive end. I couldn't tell if it was 40, Pescatelli, or if it was Vasconcelos, but one of them kind of came free, wasn't in position to make the tackle, but didn't give up. Sometimes you see those defensive players, they get too far field, they now got a bad angle, they got to put their foot in the ground, and they kind of reach, or they just have that oh shoot moment. If you can still try and get yourself involved, he got a hand on that ball and was able to be incredibly disruptive on that play, kind of creating that fumble out of the mesh.
First down for the Celtics from the Dryden 40-yard line, kicking it to the outside. Flag on the play. This is likely going to come back as once again it's Riel and Harder on the carry. Took a big shot as well at the end of that one from from Ryan Kruger.
Yeah, this came back to what I was expecting from St. Norbert early on. They go to that trips motion. They're going to see what you're doing. Now that Dryden's in their cover one look, they kind of coming to lead away from that. Okay, you're going to give us all that space. The downside is tailbacks. When the offensive line is expecting you.
Holding, St. Norbert, number 8, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
When the offensive line is expecting the tailback to be down, well, when those defenders burst to the outside, because that's what the tailback did. Now, I mentioned earlier, receivers can get caught clutching out of the cylinder. It happens to offensive linemen all the time. So sometimes, yeah, running backs, you might see that space out there. You need to go where the play's designed to go.
Caffley in the pistol eye. He's going to swing it out to Harder, getting some space to the outside. Gain of about 6 on the play.
Yeah, fantastic job from Storm Murray there, making the tackle for the Eagles, number 75. That kind of swing pass, thrown with some heat for a lateral. Great catch from Harder there. I had a little bit wincy on it. You got him out to the perimeter. That's a fast, good running back in space. To limit that to 5 yards is a really great job from Murray.
Caffley calling out the signals, trips to the strong side. Be a screen pass. That one a little bit high and unable to come up with it was Huntley, and that's a loose ball as it was behind the line of scrimmage. Good job by Huntley to get back on it. There were multiple Eagles also in the area.
Well, this is the second time tonight where the play didn't go exactly how you want. We had the returner earlier with Harder. Now with Huntley. Just getting on top of that ball is going to make a big difference in the field position here. And I think I said 75 earlier. He's just coming on the field now. I'm not sure who made that tackle earlier, but if you're the one who made that tackle out in space on Harder, I apologize for not getting your name correct. I'll get you next time.
So good job by this Eagles defense to stand firm and get this football back. 2 returners back for Dryden at their 20-yard line. Luke Watson and Ryan Kruger. This ball booted away. It's Jackson Wilson. Loose football once again.
Yeah, that was just a fantastic, that was a great special teams play. So that was a really great job from Jackson Wilson catching that ball on the run. Like, that's what you want. Typically, you catch the ball on the run on a punt, you're getting 10 yards return out of that. But 2 St. Norbert cover players just met him with a great stick, great pop. Wilson pops right up after that tackle. Just no issue, no ball security.
Dryden from their 30-yard line. 2.5 minutes to play in the first half. Moyer. Toss, loose football. And St. Norbert, it's going to be, I think Dryden was able to get back on that. They are, as it was nearly a 3rd straight turnover for the St. Norbert defense.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like that this game just, the weather's finally dipping. Like, we've managed to go an entire season so far without, getting snow. and that temperature's still dipping. And those leather footballs, they get slick if they haven't necessarily been tacked up or treated or beaten up properly. So they're going to start to get a little more slick. We're seeing some of the ball security issues. So the effort to be getting on top of these loose balls might be that final decision maker in a game like this.
2nd and 10 for the Eagles. Moyer under center. He'll pass. Feels pressure, tries to get away, does a great job to get away from pressure, throws it in the air, nearly caught on the play by Gage Lancaster. What a great job by Moyer to get away from the pressure, Dan.
Yeah, and never mind the pressure getting there, and then escaping the pressure, and then keeping the eyes downfield, and driving the ball, and the defensive backs in position to make a play on it, and the receiver not giving up. I keep saying, like, oh, that was a great football play, like, you know, great commentary. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of these plays that are just great football plays, and at the root of almost all of them is someone working as hard as they can. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to be the difference in a game like this, is are you working the entire time?
That ball is blocked. It's up in the air, taken by Moyer. Now Kurt Duell gets a hand on it as the Celtics special teams comes up big, getting that block.
Now that's the downside of that of Moyer attacking the line of scrimmage as a punter, is his block point shortens down quite a bit. So typically a punter's block point, you know, normally the long snap is 14 yards. That's where the punter's standing. Standard approach on a punt puts the block point at about 10 yards, 9.5, depending on that punter. When that gets reduced down to 6 yards, now a defender coming relatively clean off the edge can get a hand on that ball. And again, just the topsy-turvy turnover battle here has been really intriguing.
Xander Mate got his mitts on that football, and it is St. Norbert's possession at the 28 of Dryden. Screen pass, and now because that was behind the line, it's a toss from the receiver, and that one is complete. That was a great throw from Logan Weiss, complete all the way down to the 7-yard line to BJ Mateo.
Yeah, and there he goes. Like, that's the risk reward of that lateral earlier. They had that lateral on that bubble screen to Hundley earlier that gets on the ground. Hundley recovers it. Okay, now we're punting, we're safe. This time they complete that pass and it opens up the play. But we might have, for maybe the first time in a very long time, illegal man downfield. Ooh. There's no way that's getting called. That penalty basically does not exist in amateur football.
We'll wait for the call.
Once he comes in, he'll cut us off real well.
Refs are deliberating and they're just confirming. They are marching this back.
Just waiting with bated breath for Dale here.
St. Norbert, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down repeated.
Oh, unfortunately, I missed what it was.
Illegal block.
Illegal block. Okay. Yeah, not illegal man downfield. I didn't necessarily see an illegal man downfield, but sometimes on that longer developing play like that, if someone gets a little over-eager and is getting downfield, maybe blocking a little early, sometimes like that, you're not sure what it's going to be, and I'm not sure where the illegal block was, so I'll trust that it was there.
Nonetheless, that was a creative play call from the Celtics. A good ball from Weiss, great catch by Mateo. Unfortunately, all for naught.
Dryden out in their cover 2 shell here, so they've got those 2 safeties sitting back. Last time they ran this, they had that near pick that ended up being an amazing catch from Hundley.
Trips to the strong side. Huntley is the second man in that formation, as that one is a screen pass. It's complete. It's Ryland Harder, who's had a big first half, gains almost 10. Yeah, I'm sure anytime they're not, you can always kind of come back to Harder. He's going to get you positive yards. Just kind of how many is going to be the question. Harder in the regular season for St. Norbert was not as much of a factor in the rushing game, but he did have 300 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on 46 carries. And as a receiver, 174 yards as well on 9 receptions. As Caffley swings it out. That one is complete, but taken down right away for pretty much no gain. Great tackle made by Sam Smith. I believe that was Sam Smith.
Yes, it was. Yeah, number 40. That's just, again, in space. When your linebackers can make plays in space, that's always not necessarily terrifying, because linebackers make tackles. It's what they do. But in space, if they get away, if that man coverage, everybody's flooding out, they're in kind of their covers zero look, I think. There was a lot of room there. Like, I keep kind of looking at the amount of space that's opening up in the middle of the field.
Arthur Chornaby on the reception, but Smith right there to make the play, and the Celtics will boot this football away. 2 Eagles back in the end zone. Kicked away, solid punt by Whsfl again. Loose football. This one's rumbling, bumbling around, and it looks like once again the Celtics are on top of the pigskin. First man down to recover that football was Ryland Harder.
Well, it's funny how, you know, football kind of works out sometimes, where they are basically going to take over right where they would have been had that penalty not negated the lateral pass. So all it really ended up doing was giving them, you know, another minute and change off the clock as we're getting to the end of the first half here. If they score here, Dryden will have some time to respond, but not a lot.
The football god shining down on the Celtics as they get their 4th turnover of the first half. Handoff, nothing doing there as Harder took that carry, but he's taken down immediately behind the line of scrimmage by Thomas Skeen.
Yeah, Thomas Skeen did a really great job. Again, St. Norbert loves this. They go trips. You're going to give us one-on-one coverage out there. There's lots of space. We love running lead over there. He did a great job knifing through that B gap where that play is usually designed to go. Tailback takes it off tackle, gives the defender an angle. That's one thing that a lot of young ball carriers need to learn is it's easy to look outside, see nothing but space, but as soon as those hips start working towards the sidelines, now you're giving defenders angles to close on you. That downhill run is where if you can break that arm tackle, now the defenders don't have the angles, they're chasing.
Big play in this game, 2nd down for St. Norbert, looking to find Paydirt and increase their lead. They have 1 major in this game off of a turnover, looking to make it 2.
And this cover 1 look for Dryden has been really successful for them tonight. We'll see if it continues on.
Caffley calling the shots. He's going to look for somebody. Now he's going to take it himself, but he's taken down right away. That Dryden defensive front stands firm. First man in to make the tackle, Thomas Nielsen.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job, and this is something that I really like from St. Norbert. So they're running this option look, but they'll bring Huntley down to the backside and kind of like a wing look. And his job there is to occupy the backside end, because typically in your run schemes, somebody has to account for an unblocked defender, usually backside end. That's normally the quarterback. Well, if the quarterback's running the ball in the option, that's a great way to just bring someone in. You're just going to kind of scoop or occupy. It's not a crack, but you're coming in and just slowing that end down so they're not a factor. But it doesn't matter when you get great penetration from the Eagles at the front point of attack.
19-yard field goal being attempted here, and that ball is up and no good as Logan Sheed tried to get that one through the uprights. And once again, this Dryden Eagles defense holds firm. Special teams a big play there. We got a 1-score game at the break, Dan.
This has been a really good football game already. I'm sure if you ask both teams what they'd like to improve on, I'm sure they would both say ball security, and that's being a major factor of the game. But it's going so back and forth, and it's not necessarily like it's sloppy football. It's winter football when that ball just gets that little bit more slick and it's just a little harder to control the whole way.
We'll be back for the second half in about 15. Stay tuned on LRSD TV.
That's Zilkins off the Eagles. Coach, it's a tight game right now. How do you plan on closing this game out?
I think we just have to play our physical brand of football and hang on to the football. We've been hurting ourselves, and if we can flip the field's position a little bit, we'll be in better shape.
How are you keeping your team's mindset positive with the score right now?
Shouldn't be a problem. We know they were a good team. They gave us a tough battle earlier in the season, and so we shouldn't have expected anything but a dogfight, so we'll have to match that.
Well, thank you very much, Coach, for your time, and see you later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Loves hairstyling? Well, you're in luck because the Riel Arts and Technology Center has a 3-semester hairstyling program. Whether you're passionate about cutting, coloring, or perming hair, hairstyling at the Riel Arts and Technology Center is a perfect place to jumpstart your career.
I love this program a lot because I love to work with clients a lot, and having the work hands-on, it's amazing because it shows a lot of opportunities and opens so many doors. There's like 3 parts of this program to do, and after when you get to part 3 is when you do your final exam to get your certificate.
Our school salon isn't just for practicing, it's open to the public. Clients from the community can come in and experience the hard work our students do. During your time in this course, students will obtain knowledge in barbering hair, coloring, cutting, styling, and business skills. These skills give graduates the cutting edge needed to work in some of the best salons while using current techniques, tools, and equipment. Ready to take the first step towards a vibrant career in hairstyling? Scan the QR code on your screen right now or visit www.lretc.ca for more information.
Are you interested in an automotive career? Explore your passion at the Riel Arts and Technology Center and learn from industry experts with professional equipment. Learn all about engines, wiring, bidirectional scanners, and so much more.
If you like trades and hands-on experience, yeah, you get good experience before graduating.
Programs like this are so rated or kept under the rug, which is interesting in a way.
It's just different than just the normal boring homeschool, than just something to change instead of doing the same classes over and over again. It's just change of mind, so yeah.
For more information, call 204-237-8951 or scan the QR code to learn more.
I'm Cole Mall, and here with me is Adrian Hunley, coach of the St. Norbert Celtics. Coach, it's a tough game right now, but you're winning right now. How do you keep your offense going?
We just have to execute a little bit better. You know what? There's stuff out there that we're just leaving behind. The guys got to get into their blocks a little bit better and just execute, especially with this rain coming down. It's going to get a little bit slick. So that's the plan right now. It's just that we talked about it. They're amped up. They're ready to go. Just execution.
What's the message to your defense as they are pitching a shutout currently?
Yeah, they're doing an awesome job. They're bringing it. They're playing pretty intense football. They just got to keep it going with that. They're hyped up. Our defense has been playing really well the whole second half of the season. So they know what they got to do, and they're coming out gunning for it in the second half.
Coach, thank you and good luck.
No problem. Thank you.
Step into the dynamic world of electrical trades where skills and currents converge to power our modern society.
I would say ATC is a really hands-on program. It gives you better knowledge than anyone else your age would know about electrical. Because if you ask any other high school student about what is electrical, they would give a vague idea. You ask anyone that's gone to ATC or been even halfway through ATC, they'd give you be able to talk about it for hours about what you've learned here.
I really enjoy it. I love the environment. I love the teacher, Mr. Jowett. He's really good. He takes the really difficult concepts and makes them quite simple to understand. Really easygoing.
In the electrical trades program at ATC, our students do not just learn theory, they grasp real-world skills that spark their potential.
My opinion on the school is absolutely amazing. I love the people here, all the events. It's such an amazing experience seeing everyone so passionate about their program.
Ready to light up your future? Scan the QR code on your screen or visit www.lratc.ca for more information and enroll in the Electrical Trades program today. Join us at the Riel Arts and Technology Center's Electrical Trades program and take the first steps towards an empowering career in electrical trades today.
LRSD TV for second half action between the Dryden Eagles and the St. Norbert Celtics in the AAA final. Mike Still, Dan Washnick on the call. One-score game, and turnovers, Dan, were really the big story in the first half.
Yeah, just kind of joking with Mike at halftime here that you can tell that we're comfortable indoors because we didn't realize it's raining. So I talked earlier like, oh, the weather's starting to dip. That's making that ball a little bit slick, and I'm, kind of coming with all these things like cold weather, which I do stand by. Rain will make the ball slick too, so that's kind of explaining a lot of the ball security issues that we're seeing here, that it's just getting cold and wet. And one thing that we love about that up here in Canada is it's going to bring out that toughness in us. And if we can't continue on through that cold, because I say it to my players often, cold is a choice. You're dressed for it, you're young, you're moving around, the blood is flowing. If you are thinking about being cold, you're making the choice to be cold. So we're going to see which team decides we're not going to make that choice, we're going to play through it.
And with this wet weather, the St. Norbert Celtics were a team that was very successful in the air in the regular season. They have had some prominent runs as well in the first half, but of the two sides, it perhaps might affect them a bit more. We will certainly see how these two sides open up in the second half. It's Dryden set to kick off. Great boot there. Fielded at the 20-yard line, up past the 30, finding some space to the 35, all the way up almost to the 40-yard line. St. Norbert will get quality field position, and it's Rylan Harder who really was the standout in terms of offensive production in that first half for the Celtics.
Yeah, he's kind of fighting off a little bit of a tweak here, too, as he gets himself to the huddle. I just want to talk about really quickly what Coach Riel is the special teams coordinator for the Eagles, what he did on that kickoff. We often will see teams be bunched up before the kick, but they had both of their contain players already lined up out there. And I actually really like that idea that when you flood out, sometimes you're tightening down all those lanes, and contain is the most important part. So by saying, hey, we're still going to give this look, but our contain players set, I love that.
Darshawn Caffley calling out the shots. Quick pass, that one caught. Still moving up. Great move to get some extra yardage, putting his foot in the ground and moving ahead. Logan Whsfl, who also had a big first half for the Celtics.
Yeah, they're not going to get a lot downfield against Dryden. They're clearly ready to take away those deep hole shots. And this is what they had, these deep plays. But this is what they did earlier to get some success, get that ball moving through the air, was the quick pass, the quick pass, the quick pass. Get the ball in the hands of your receivers, let them go break tackles and make plays.
Whsfl 143 receiving yards in the regular season for St. Norbert. And you can see on the broadcast now, it's really coming down out there. It's not a light sprinkle that we're seeing. It's certainly coming down hard. So good job by Whsfl as well to just make that reception. It's Caffley in that pistol eye. Great play call, creative on the reverse, but not much for yardage for Adrian Huntley as Nick Iwana coming down to make that, that tackle made by Kingston Bishop inside. Or nope, that is Nick Iwana, who had a big first half defensively for Dryden. Another big play there.
And I'm not sure who number 51 is. We have two number 52s on the roster for Dryden. So either Evan Hutchinson or Hudson Bishop did a great job stringing that play out. The counter came to him. He was in position to get underneath his block and get involved in the play. But the difference was, I use this expression a lot, he didn't make the tackle, but he definitely made the play. He was able to string it out and let the rest of the defense rally.
Caffley on 2nd and long. He's got trips to the strong side, ISO on the short side. Toss play. Once again, it's going to be harder getting it to midfield, but not much more. 3 different Eagles in to make the stop, including Grayson Warren.
Yeah, the defense for Dryden, Coach Solomon has clearly got his players ready to go here. They are just rallying to everything right now. They're just downhill. They're making secure tackles when they get their opportunities. And, like I said, he keeps kind of mixing up the coverages to keep, St. Norbert guessing. Coach Huntley trying to find a solution. But at the end of the day, the game is blocking and tackling. And when you come downhill and you make those tackles, you're in a great position to continue to be a dominant defense.
Whsfl is back to kick this football away at his own 45. That rugby style punt on his end nearly blocked. Great job there by Dryden. And that one fielded in the air. Big yardage on the return. All the way up past the 40-yard line. Up near the 45. Exceptional job by Nick Iwana, who has turned into one of the biggest difference makers in this game for the Eagles.
Yeah, you catch that ball in the air and you hit it on the run. I mentioned this earlier that, yeah, catching in the air, attacking, you're going to get, 10-plus yards out of your return. Last time I talked about that, it was St. Norbert collapsed on that returner immediately. This time there was that window. No, that rain's turning into snow, isn't it? I think this is my fault.
Yeah, you jinxed us in the booth, Dan.
My bad.
We almost made it through a whole season.
Yeah, my bad.
First down for the Eagles. Not much. St. Norbert's defensive front coming in. And, Dan, you got a heck of a look on your face up here.
Some extracurriculars that are going to go unpenalized here. So a good battle between number 40 for St. Norbert and whomever was blocking him. They'll probably keep an eye on that. The officials will, because that was pretty extra after the whistle. But I actually like just, hey, field justice. Get it between the whistles.
Field justice is a good way to put that down. Ryder Nelson, first man in to make the tackle. As Moyer looking for somebody to throw to, can't get it there. Tries to get outside the pocket, but he's not going to get much. Taken down by Marcus Pescatelli, first man in.
Yeah, and that's a great option there. Like, Pescatelli is the one who just kind of was taking some umbrage with the way he was being blocked. Well, again, there's that field justice. You're upset about what happened last play? Go get a sack. That's a great way to respond. Get their punt team out. That's a great way to respond.
Pescatelli one of the big difference makers on that defense, Luis Vasconcelos as well. Those two certainly have had their numbers called a lot in this game early on, as that one bobbled and then retrieved at the 30-yard line, cutting upfield and then taken down at about the 34, as once again it's harder on the return.
Yeah, great team tackle, and this time Storm Murray, saying this correctly, ripping at that ball with the returner. Again, when that ball's on the, it's been on the turf as much as it has been tonight, any chance you can get to try and get a punch out, get that ball ripped out of the returner's, the ball carrier's hands, take it. It's been on the ground a lot. Take it.
This ball getting wiped down as it is, again, very wet and slick, we'll put it, out there on the field as St. Norbert starts at their own 34-yard line. Caffley in that pistol eye. A little bit of motion pre-snap. He's going to hand this one off to Harder, and he can't get anywhere. Stuffed in the backfield, taken down by Kingston Bishop as well as Henry Craker.
What a great job for the defense. Again, Fenton swarming downhill, making tackle like that. That's the head coach at Murdoch, Darren Demchuk, good friend of mine. He would call that a $20 tackle. Just getting into that backfield, creating that 5-yard loss of down just from great defensive play. Perfect.
Second and long for the Celtics. Team that had a lot of success through the air with Darshawn Caffley throwing for 1284 and 13 scores. 8 of those 13 to Rhett Huntley, who has the biggest game through the air in this contest, as they will look to pass on second down. Reverse nearly intercepted as he tried to go the other way on a screen pass. But that one was just about picked off. Great read by Grayson Warren.
That is one of the best plays a defensive player can make. That was outstanding because this is a phenomenal screen pass. I love rolling out one direction. I mentioned earlier, hey, St. Norbert likes to bring that scoop block down on the end. We're going to roll out away from it because we're going to try and occupy. It wasn't the option look, but now you roll out. You get the defense flooding to the rollout. You put your foot in the ground. You come back to that scooping player. That's your screen back. For 77 to sniff that out, great job, Grayson Warren. What an outstanding play. Part of me wanted to see him take that to the house.
Weiss is back to punt this ball away. End over end kick, bounces around midfield. Bobbled and gone out of bounds off the returner's hands, as that was Enric Rainey. But it will stay with Dryden as it just harmlessly went out of bounds.
Yeah, after you touch it, the best place that can go is out of bounds. Then it's nobody's problem. You still got possession. Just as a returner, you want to be really careful. If you're going to touch it, you better catch it.
And again, just going to reiterate it, it is slick out there on the field, end over end bounce. Trying to field that one, not the easiest thing in the world, as once again the referees are cleaning this football off as Dryden will take this football at their own 43-yard line. It's Moyer under center, single back. We got a little bit of motion from Rainer Powell. A little bit of miscommunication as Vasconcelos got in the backfield and now taken down behind the line by Marcus Pescatelli, as Pescatelli and Vasconcelos then continue to make their impact here.
Yeah, defensive line is such an important, I will always stand by the most important position on football teams, offensive line. When the defensive line is winning those battles and making the offensive line a little less effective than they'd like to be, I mean, not to kind of say that they're being ineffective, but when the defensive line is playing at the high level that clearly we're seeing right now to St. Norbert, that's a big difference on a night like tonight.
Pescatelli leading St. Norbert with 34 tackles in the regular season, 2 sacks. As that pass is caught on the screen. Gain of about 3 on the play as there was pressure as the Eagles tried to draw that one up. Caught on the play by Drake Schneider, but short of a first down.
And even though they don't get the first, I love this idea. You've got a defensive line that's aggressive, getting them field. They're starting to feel themselves. They're celebrating after big plays, rightfully so. Well, how do you slow them down? Screen passes. That's a great way to get the defensive line thinking what's coming next. And Moyer, on that last play, he did a great job getting the ball out while taking the hits. Screen passes, the further you can draw that defense in, the better. You put it over the top, you get that completion. And then just a good job from St. Norbert to limit the damage.
Moyer back to punt this ball away. Great punt from Moyer. This one's going to go all the way back to the St. Norbert 20-yard line, fielded there by Rylan Harder. He's still on his feet as that ball bounced onto the turf, ended up in the hands of Rhett Huntley.
Yeah, I'm not sure it hit the turf. It looked like it would just pop straight up in the air. And Huntley, who's just managed to I mentioned this earlier, that instinct, just catch the ball. He's been really good at that all night. And there's been a lot of the just who's in the right spot at the right time. I mean, it's still going to come back. I can't tell if it was a hold or blocking the back or what the penalty was here. We'll hear shortly. But either way, it's coming back. But just again, for the ball to not end up in Dryden's hands, that's been a big part of the game today, is can we avoid the turnover? The fumbles are clearly going to happen. It's just going to be a reality of the rest of this game. But the question will be, can you make sure that you're the team ending up on that loose ball?
4 turnovers in the first half from this St. Norbert side. Dryden with 1 themselves. Just 1 score to account for those, but it was a big one. It is the only touchdown in the game, giving the Eagles the lead the Celtics the lead in this contest, as that ball is on the ground once again, and it is St. Norbert falling on top of it. It's going to end up being a gain of about 7.
Yeah, you get 5 yards on the carry and 2 yards on the fumble Ruski, and you're now 2nd and 3 in a position to move the sticks.
Just like they drew it up, clearly.
Yeah. And that's again, Hardman's been doing a really good job getting to the perimeter. This is really simple, like a toss look with the dive action out of the pistol. It's nothing pretty complicated, but when you got a player like Cornaby, who's going to run his feet through contact, you get 5 yards out of that dive. And if you can get 5 yards a carry, you win. That's math.
Caffley on the 2nd and 2. He's going to hand it off to the most successful back in this game for either side, Harder, but he's going to be stopped behind the line of scrimmage. 3 Eagles in to make the tackle, including Zach Robinson.
And I've been kind of waiting to highlight Zach's flow, because I mentioned it before the broadcast here. What a great job recognizing the tailback, getting the hips to the sidelines. Yeah, the flow, all of the indications, the blocking was all coming through that B gap, but and that's like linebackers. You're reading your triangle. You're seeing, okay, where are they looking to run the ball? I often say, don't look at the tailback. They're just going to deceive you. Well, as you get better, the tailback is part of that triangle. They're your last check. Now as you're going to your gap, you see his hips to the sidelines, go play football, go flow. And 38 Robinson did a great job with that.
15 tackles and an interception in the regular season for Robinson, as this ball is on the ground. It looks like Dryden was able to get back on top of it, as Nick Iwanek tried to get that one in the air out of his hands, but he was able to get back on it.
And I can't fault him for that. I love returners who attack the ball that aggressively. And sometimes, and I don't think this was the case here, but when you attack the ball that aggressively, it's also how you can take that risk in Canada, because you might be drawing that no yards penalty if the defenders are within that 5-yard halo. I love that he's attacking the ball. Yeah, that was a fumble that he had to get back on top of, but we've seen on his returns, when he catches it clean in the air, he's getting 20-plus yards. He catches that in the air, he controls it the whole way. They're not on the 43, they're on the 23.
Dryden begins this drive at the 45 of St. Norbert, getting to the outside, finding space, moving forward up near a first down, as Nolan Fediuk still charging forward. Great first play offensively for the Eagles to move the chains.
Yeah, that's that look. Again, they're just kind of moving the tailback out on that look. They've shown a lot of times. Dryden, Coach Zilkins, and Coach McKenzie, they've done such a great job in finding ways to move that ball around, finding ways to get the ball in different playmakers' hands. Not necessarily a ton of different plays, but multiple looks of the same blocking scheme, and that's a great way to run an offense.
Fediuk with 305 yards on the ground in the regular season. 2nd down and short, as Drake Schneider gets it on that fullback carry to move that ball up and get a first down.
Yeah, Pescatelli and Nelson kind of colliding there on the running back coming together. Coach Palachuk and his assistant Noah Cornborough is a grad from St. Norbert. They've done a really great job with this defense tonight. They've been bending but not breaking. The Eagles have been getting yards, but they haven't been able to finish those drives, and that's a big testament to how ready this defense has been able to play. So hats off to Coach Palachuk.
Moyer under center, a little bit of motion from Fediuk. Toss play, that ball is on the ground. It's still loose, and it is going to be St. Norbert football, the 5th turnover of this game for the St. Norbert Celtics, and it's Luis Vasconcelos.
Yeah, It's just, how many times can I kick this horse when it's already on the ground? It's just this, the mesh point's going to be difficult to control the ball with, and that, you know, where maybe could have seen a loose ball interference penalty there that wasn't called, which I like. The refs have been pretty good about letting him play tonight. And just, it's going to be a scramble to be the one who ends up with the ball.
Vasconcelos 4 sacks to lead St. Norbert in the regular season. He's been a terror at the line of scrimmage all game, now making an impact in terms of the turnover battle. We'll see if the Celtics can capitalize as Caffley screen pass, and they're going to try and throw that one out like they successfully did earlier in the game, but that one did not work as Braxton Penner tried to find a man. But that one was well read, Dan, by the Dryden Eagles.
Yeah, Thomas Skeen, you know, seeing him make that tackle, hopefully he's able to get himself back up in the game quickly here. You know, I hear in my head Nathan Weichel, the offensive line coach of Winnipeg Rifles, yelling, "Jump on his back" with that kind of tackle. And, you know, that makes me smile. But that trickery has been something St. Norbert has been really trying to get to, and it's been building off of what they're doing really well. They've had success getting that ball out in space quickly and then getting upfield. Well, Dryden's been closing really quickly, so if they can pull the trigger on some of these pass plays, we saw it earlier, came back on the penalty, it's been there, but Dryden is so downhill on these things, and that's why the screen pass earlier, trying to slow things down on both sides of the ball, there's just a lot of gamesmanship happening between these coordinators, and the beautiful thing about it is, you know, all the gamesmanship, all the schemes, all that, it's coming right down to is both teams are working really hard, defenses are closing fast, and not allowing the offense to have any kind of window. We see St. Norbert up in their too high shell again.
Caffley hands this football off, breaking away from the first contact, spinning away, still moving forward, up near the first down marker. Going to be short by about a yard. Ryland Harder did a good job to get away from the initial penetration, and we have a late flag as well.
Yeah, I'm guessing a face mask here, but we'll get that confirmed in a second. And in that too high shell, I like St. Norbert's choice. Okay, you're going to play off, you're going to give us all this space. Yeah, we got a face mask that'll give them the first down here. Hand the ball off, and nearly a first down.
Unnecessary roughness. Dryden, number 77 with a face mask, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Nearly that first down without the penalty, and that's the fantastic attitude of that. Okay, you're not throwing the ball, you're going to come downhill and rally, and Harder did a great job breaking the tackles and just making sure he wasn't going to go down easy, and sometimes when you're just running hard, defenders, you know, face mask is, it's a tough penalty to avoid.
Harder has been fantastic in the ground game for St. Norbert in this game, running harder and harder as this contest has continued. It's Harder once again on the carry, cutting it up inside, a gain of about 6. That was a really great lead block there as well.
Yeah, and there was a great adjustment from Harder on his run game here. So this time he is taking to the perimeter, and he hasn't had a lot of success there. His success has been downhill. So he gets the defense moving, he's stretching them outside, and then he put his foot in the ground, and rather than continuing to stretch and giving the defense those angles, now he's coming downhill, and instead of it being, you know, running 30 yards to get 3, he goes straight downhill and gets himself a clean 7.
Egan Hale with the lead block, allowing for Harder to cut inside. Second down and manageable here, about 3 for the Celtics on what will be the last play of the third quarter. Caffley calling the shots. He's going to give it to Harder once again, and he's going to cut it inside. It's going to be close, but going to depend on the spot. I think it'll be about a yard short.
I agree with you there. And this has been, whether they get points or not here, this has been a really good clock-eating drive from St. Norbert. I mean, obviously they're going to want points because giving any kind of cushion is going to just help kind of make them feel a little more comfortable as getting to our last 12 here. But I think if there's one thing that Coach Huntley's going to be preaching right now, it's going to be ball security. The one thing this drive can't end in is that fumble. It just, you can't have it. I mean, obviously interceptions, turnover on downs, those aren't going to be ideal, but if you can make sure you don't put the ball on the ground and you can continue to eat some clock, get some real estate, and come away with some points, that's going to be an absolute success. If they don't get those points and all that happens is they're going to force Dryden to try and march the entire field, that's also going to be a big success. So this third down here, if they're leaving their offense out on the field, which it looks like they are, even if they don't convert, it's still not a fumble. And I know that's silly because a turnover is a turnover is a turnover. But when you're making that calculated choice to go for it in third down and you don't get it, that's less devastating than putting the ball on the ground and gifting them the turnover. You got to make them earn it.
3rd and 1 for St. Norbert. They'll push the pile forward and get a first down. Great work from that offensive line, commanding the line of scrimmage to keep this drive going.
Yeah, and Kaffley just kind of keeping his head down, keeping his feet churning. That's what he scored the touchdown on earlier, and just kind of similar look. He's just almost outrunning the defenders to the point, even on a QB sneak.
Celtics from the Dryden 35-yard line looking to score their second major in this game off a turnover. They have fifth. They have 5 turnovers in this game, and it's been a gritty defensive showing from both sides. Kaffley rolling to his right, trying to find someone, keeps his eyes downfield, and that one just over the head of the intended target, Huntley.
Yeah, I like this choice to just kind of get that rollout, get a little bit of space, cut the field in half, give him a little bit of easier vision, and just Dryden doing a really good job kind of keeping everything in front of them.
Good coverage on the play by Nick Iwanek, who has been a standout on both sides, returning as well for the Eagles on special teams, locking down Huntley, the WHSFL's leading receiver. Does lead all players with 3 receptions in this game for in and around 70 yards, but of course the weather has affected the impact he would have on this contest. 2nd down for Kaffley. Once again looking to pass, hit as he throws, incomplete. He was trying to find Huntley, but he took a massive shot on that toss from Thomas Skeen.
That was a good job just kind of keeping his eyes downfield, and sometimes you feel that pressure coming, you see it out your peripheral, it's easy to kind of panic. He got the ball out and at least gave Huntley an opportunity. It obviously, you know, that pressure did impact the play, and that's a great job from Skeen to make sure, like, that's some of the best coverage, is just not allowing a good pass to come even out of the quarterback's hand. But that's just a good job of making sure not taking the sack either. Being in, again, just not going to get points here, but they didn't give up the ball. And based on the way the returning's been going today, they might still get it back yet.
That punt is blocked by the Dryden Eagles, and they will take this football at their 44-yard line. Exceptional work from the special teams unit. We'll get another great look at it here. Multiple Eagles in to block that football, including number 27, Kurt Duell.
And, you know, I talk about, like, okay, hey, good drive. We just got to punt the ball and we get the ball back. And then there's that morale killer, that blocked punt. Now, one thing that you might kind of see, maybe you're wondering this with the new rules, you know, what should that have been running into a roughing the kicker? Back in the day, it used to be as long as you got a piece of the ball, it was not a penalty. That rule did change a few years ago. If you hit the kicker, it still can be roughing the kicker. That was not a roughing the kicker threshold. It does need to be pretty blast.
Kurt Murray was the one that got back onto that ball for Dryden, as trying to get to the outside was Emerson Moyer, but he's taken down after a gain of just 1.
Yeah, that was a great job from Moyer to make something out of nothing there. A little bit of miscommunication, just the play didn't come together the way they wanted it to. And he does a really good job, and this probably comes from him being a ball carrier often himself. That ideal of just wheeling around and getting positive yards is a motion that he does on design plays as well. So for him to again, still get a positive yard out of it is a success.
7 combined turnovers from these two sides here tonight, as Moyer with the swing pass, and that one is denied right away, taken down for a significant loss. Tackled by Ryder Nelson as Rainer Powell tried to make something happen.
Yeah, that was a really, what a great tackle. That was just a really good job. And I mentioned before the broadcast that he flies around. That was a good example of a little 20-on-20 out in space, but just taking a great angle.
We do have an injured player down. It is Nelson. So we get a great shot. Great work by this LRSDTV production crew all evening long. Nelson one-on-one there. And Powell has been pretty quiet in this game. One of the big difference makers this season for the Dryden Eagles, coming into the contest with 579 yards on the ground and 8 touchdowns, along with 239 yards receiving and 5 scores. But St. Norbert, like they've done against everyone really in this game, have been stout defensively.
Yeah, they've just been coming downhill on everything. And again, Coach Palachuk and coaches Palachuk and Thornborough done a really good job with the defense.
Moyer set to put this football away. End over end. Bounce up to the 35-yard line, fielded there, trying to find some space to the outside. Not much to be had, though. Great tackle on the play from Mike Nino.
Yeah, Mike Marino did a really good job getting downfield. That's a great open field tackle. Like, special teams are so much effort. That's something that you can't preach enough in a program, is just how do you get yourself, as a starter on special teams? That's the kind of mentality you got to have. Whether you're a starter on offense or defense, yeah, that's where everyone wants to be. That's the big attraction. But when you can be that special team starter, that's a great way to continue to grow and develop all of those football skills that are going to turn you into a great primary position player, whatever it might be.
Absolutely, a lot of players earning time that way at every level of football. High school football, no different. Screen pass, big gain and a first down for St. Norbert, up past midfield. That is a positive gain from Braxton Penner, making a difference on this drive.
It's almost a little bit of a combo coverage here coming out of Dryden, where they were showing double coverage on the ISO receiver. They're just straight up man up bracket, like the Calvin Johnson Megatron kind of the picture there, the famous picture. I think they were also playing that last rep. No, there we go. There's the 13th man coming off. But they were cover one on the other side. So there was an unblocked receiver. Great job from St. Norbert for recognizing and for Cafley to get that ball on target.
Handoff up the middle, trying to surge forward off the spin, taken down after a gain of about 3 on the play. Grayson Warren with the tackle.
Great fill from that linebacker. There's a lot of eye candy there. They've been doing all this short stuff out to the perimeter, so when that tailback starts flooding out to that trip side, when they just got a first down out of throwing a bubble over there, it's easy for linebackers to lose a little bit of eye discipline. The eyes start to drift. Maybe our feet come with us, but he stayed home, recognized that dive, met him in the gap. Great job. Really good, clean tackle.
2nd and 7 for St. Norbert. Cafley, screen pass, that one just a little bit high over the intended target on the play. He was trying to find Logan Weiss, but that one falls to the turf.
And this one was a forward pass, so getting on top of that ball wasn't as necessary as it has been all night.
So slick conditions showing again here. That was a little bit of a high throw as well, but tough to get the mitts on it with the way it's coming down out there tonight. Once again, 2 returners back for the Dryden Eagles. Logan Howarth, one of those 2 returners back, along with Jackson Wilson.
And can St. Norbert protect this time?
This ball bounces on the ground. Good job by Weiss to field that one. And slipping down on the play was Wilson. He's able to get back on it as, again, these conditions rear their ugly head.
Yeah, I think I liked about that, yes, the ball's on the ground, and great job from the punter to stay calm and for Weiss to get that ball out, but great protection. The last time this team was out there, they gave up a block. This time they stand tall. There was almost no pressure. And is that Dryden choosing with Coach Rielini to go more of a return look rather than a block look, or did they hold their ground? Either way, they gave their punter more than enough time to turn a bad situation into a great one.
Clock running under 6.5 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Moyer with the handoff up the gut. Great stuff right at the line of scrimmage. And that's going to be no gain on the play.
Yeah, Damian Nelson sticking his nose right in there immediately. And that was a good job. Again, I mentioned this earlier, those linebackers just having good eye discipline, just having this opportunity to let that motion happen, let St. Norbert flood away. We know that when they leave the back there, they are a run threat. So to not worry about that new look to get them flooding out of the box, just sitting home and taking away what you need to take away.
2nd down toss play as they're going to get it to their lead man, Powell, but he's taken down right away by Vasconcelos, who's had a heck of a game tonight.
Yeah, like I said earlier at the start of the top of the broadcast, he really was explosive off the ball. He had a huge sack on 3rd down late against Churchill. Like, he just was that defender that kept jumping off the screen to me. And he's shown it tonight as well. And when you know these conditions are what they are, defensive linemen do have that advantage. They can be more downhill. They're not going to worry about being as lateral.
Bit of a tough punt there from the Eagles. This is going to take a favorable St. Norbert bounce. There's going to be a no-yards penalty on top of it. Surging all the way down to the 15-yard line. That's Logan Shed.
Yeah, this is, that's unfortunate. Well, I'll say this instead. That was a great return from Shed to just kind of take that ball on the first bounce. Like, he's talking about, okay, catching it in the air is what you want, but at least he got it on that first bounce. He was able to hit it on the run, and that's kind of the important part of catching in the air, is taking it on the run. And now, because he was aggressive to it, because it was a shorter punt,
no yards. Dryden, number 87, 5-yard penalty, first down.
To get that no yards penalty, to add a little bit of change to it, and again, assuming they can hang on to the ball.
That's a great point, Dan. It is extremely slippery out there. It's now turning into snow out on the turf as St. Norbert takes his ball at the Dryden 10-yard line, trying to kick it to the outside. Now reversing back the other way, but not much there for Rylan Harder. Excellent work on the penetration from the from the Eagles, as Thomas Skeen makes the tackle.
Yeah, great team tackle there. Everyone just flooding to the ball, taking good angles, and in particular, turning it back inside. I really like the way that Thomas Nielsen was able to get that back into all of his help, because that's where Harder's trying to get outside. He's trying to break that contain. He's trying to get himself to the perimeter. By turning it back inside to all your help, you're creating a TFL. It's a tackle for loss, even though it's a downhill run play.
Caffley gonna get it to Huntley. He's trying to find some space. Gets away from the first defender, surges forward, taken out of bounds out near the original line of scrimmage on the jet sweep style play there, as the Eagles once again stand firm in the red zone.
That's a good job. So Dryden came out in kind of a 50 front look there. They had a linebacker who was up a little bit more on the edge. They were really kind of there to take away Harder, whether it's going to be that lead or that toss. So that jet sweep look, that fast flow play out to the perimeter is a way to attack that. But the difference was the DBs corralled really well. They came downhill, they got off their blocks, they came downhill in that run support, and they limited the damage. Last time this unit came out, we did have a low kick and a block.
Here's Shed, who had the big return on the punt. Now he's looking to finish the drive with a critical field goal, but you mentioned it, Dan. Last attempt was blocked. This is a 17-yard field goal, and it is good from Logan Shed. No doubt about it.
That was a great job watching it off your foot and through the uprights. And that's not easy. Like, the operation right now, as these conditions are continuing to worsen, now the broadcast is, joining us and being able to see it pretty clearly, I'm sure. That snap, that hold, the operation of a kick becomes harder and harder and harder. And that's already a really high stress situation to be in, where you just have to keep everything under control, especially in these kind of conditions.
Under 4 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, as the snow very clearly comes down here at Princess Auto Stadium.
It does make for a beautiful scene.
It certainly does.
But we are inside.
Poetry in motion, as some would say. We are, yes, luckily away from the conditions. They certainly are not downfield. The Celtics, less than 4 minutes away from their first Winnipeg High School Football League championship. Still plenty of game left to go here, though. This Celtics defense and special teams making a huge impact. 5 turnovers for St. Norbert. They've capitalized on 1, and they turned that last drive into 3 off of a big return. Logan Shed on the return, Logan Shed on the field goal. Now this one takes, I would say, a favorable St. Norbert bounce. It looked like it might almost go out of bounds. Dryden fields it up to the 36. Tyson Langlis on the return.
Yeah, sometimes situations like that. So after a field goal, it's not an automatic kickoff. So the team that was scored, in this case Dryden, they have a choice. They can have the team kick off, which they chose, clearly elected to do, or you take the ball in the 35 because you think you're going to get a more favorable return. Well, that ended up being worth 2 yards, and that 2 yards might be the difference in a game like tonight, because they're having a hard time, both teams are having a hard time getting any yards against these defenses, because the defenses have been so downhill and so great all night. And St. Norbert now coming on this too high shell.
Back to pass, Moyer. Now he's going to step up. Big gain for Moyer. He's been the most successful running back in this one for Dryden. Drops the shoulder down to get a few extra yards.
And I understand the idea going this too high shell. You don't want to give up that deep pass, but that hasn't been their bread and butter tonight. The bread and butter has been running the ball and Moyer being that big threat. So when you're taking those defenders out of the box, you're going to create running lanes. So if they're going to stay in this too high shell and just hopefully continue to, stop the bleed here and be probably looking to be opportunistic as St. Norbert.
Moyer under center as we reach under 3 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter of the AAA championship. Looking for somebody downfield, feels pressure, gets it in the air, incomplete. Tried to find the intended target, Gage Lancaster, but the Celtics say no.
Yeah, she's been doing a great job all night on a few points of the game here. Was that 99 or is that 89? Am I seeing that correctly? It could be a Akeem Fall as well. Whoever the corner was covering that corner route just stayed in position the whole way and made sure the safety was able to come down on it. It was a still opportunity for a completion there. That was a great hole shot in between those defenders, but he stayed on top of it.
Toss to the outside, breaking away from two defenders, still keeping those legs turning, and that's going to be a first down for the Dryden Eagles. Rainer Powell getting involved late.
Yeah, I like the Dryden is kind of sticking to the game plan here. Yeah, they're going faster, but they're not panicking. They're not saying, oh, we have to score right now. We have to take the deep shot. There's not going to be opportunities for that. But if they're going to give you yards on the ground, take the yards on the ground. 2:30 in the Canadian game is a lot of time still, especially in just a 2-score game.
Powell has been limited in this contest, but he had a big one there. 579 on the ground and 8 scores in the regular season, and they're going to give it back to Powell. Cuts back the other way. Powell looking for some space. One man to beat. Can't do it. Great open field tackle on the play.
Just beautifully done. Maybe not last tackle because by taking outside, the defense is going to have some angles, but really putting that play in the dirt and just turning it from that, that's that kind of backbreaker play. He makes one more person miss, he maybe gets in the end zone, and now suddenly that momentum shifts completely the other way. That onside kick is happening, we're nervous about it, maybe that ball bounces around, but now it's second and long. The defense can breathe again. They're even back in a single high shot.
Passing situation for Moyer. This one doesn't get off. That one's going to go against Dryden. We'll wait for the call.
Yeah, regardless, this getting blown dead not happening before, it's going to be second and 18 now.
Dryden, first down repeated.
I know that in previous broadcasts, when his mic comes on, it cuts us off. So I don't know if that's been happening tonight either, but that's why I'm making sure he's got some room to breathe when he's making his announcements.
Moyer under center on second and long, rolling to his right. He's got a man in single coverage that's open. He tries to get it there, just a little bit too high for the intended target. He was trying to find Nick Iwanek.
Yeah, and this third down, I'm sure that Coach Zilkins is going to keep the offense out there. He clearly is. But this is not the game right now. Even if they don't get this, there's still going to be an opportunity to get the ball back. It's going to be quite detrimental to Dryden's opportunity to come back in this game. But this isn't the game on the line right now. But it's getting really close to it. So Dryden, again, they're still just kind of coming out in their bread and butter here. Still showing that look, but I mean, are they going to try and hit that corner route that they've been working on all night?
Third down, this ball up in the air, looking for Iwanek, incomplete, but we're going to get pass interference on the play.
Yeah, I think that that was, pretty good fight there, and it was Akeem Fall earlier, so Akeem in good position here. I think that the official is going to say that with him not necessarily looking back to play this ball, being in that hip pocket, he's playing back, and yeah, I'll stop my sentence there. But the
pass
exciting
interference, St. Norbert, number 19, 15-yard penalty. first down.
The exciting part is, as a fan of the game here and not a defensive coach, is that it's going to give a more manageable, it's going to give them more yards, give them that first down, and keep this potential comeback coming.
This drive stays alive for the Dryden Eagles as this one is blown dead.
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion there. Pass interference is an automatic first down, but it's not a spot foul like you see in some of the professional leagues. So the sticks just need to be aligned a little bit. The officials just weren't quite in position to do their job.
Big room to the outside, breaking away, staying on his feet. Rainer Powell continuing to turn those legs forward, and Dryden's leading rusher making a heavy impact on this game in the fourth.
You know, Moyer is really showing what a grade 12 quarterback can do. He's so calm with that pressure in his face. He has a defender right up in his grill. It's Pescatelli again, and he's just able to dump it off to an outlet who happens to be a really great open field athlete. Who again, Dryden is keeping this ball alive. They're keeping it off the ground, and they're keeping the chains moving.
As you mentioned, Dan, still a lot of time left here. 1:17 to go. Dryden looking to make this a one-score game. Moyer calmly leading the troops downfield. He's back to pass once again, rolling to his left. He's got pressure. Now he's going to go back the other way. He can't get away from the pressure. Sacked by Henry Lepan.
Great job selling out from Lepan there to just kind of get that foot out. Vasconcelos is down for St. Norbert here, so that's going to end up kind of slowing the game down a little bit. But now you've put Dryden in a situation where they're second and usually in my scouting reports this would be logged as second and 13 plus. It's quite a bit more than that. So it's just a situation where St. Norbert has been really able to bend but not break all night. This has been one of the better drives Dryden has had, and that's been their philosophy. St. Norbert has kind of decided coming into this drive that that coaches Palachuk and Cornborough have kind of said, okay, we're going to play off, we're going to give you yards, we're just not going to give you points. And we're going to see if that holds true on these next two plays, because if this does get to a third down, especially with one of their great defensive players off the field, now for Dryden, if they can get in the end zone, there's still enough time. If they don't get in the end zone on this one, do they elect to try and take a field goal? But then, again, I mentioned earlier, field goal is not an automatic kickoff. It's not like you can short kick off of that. So if you're thinking that analytics approach of, oh, take the 3 points now on third down, that's not necessarily an option here.
Well, I ask you then, Dan, what would you do in this situation?
Score points.
Smart answer. Back to pass is Moyer. He's going to the end zone. He's looking for Powell. And incomplete, but nearly caught on the tip drill by Iwanek there.
And wouldn't that have been just such a fitting way for this drive to continue tonight? Just the ball in someone's hands and ending up in another player's. That's been kind of a big part of the day, is multiple people touching the ball that aren't necessarily designed to.
Yeah, we certainly saw Huntley do that a few different times in this game for the Celtics. And in that case, almost into the hands of Iwanek. We get a good look at the replay. It went off the shoulder pad of Damian Nelson and nearly into Iwanek's hands. Once again, third down here for the Eagles. Moyer with pressure. Screen pass and unable to come up with it was Powell. There was space in front of him, but it's so slick out there.
Yeah, and that's just, I like that play call. I think that's a great idea. To those defensive linemen have been an issue all night. Letting him get upfield, get the ball in Rainer's hands, who'd been the big chunk play on this drive already. Now, St. Norbert just needs to finish this out and take that first championship home.
Yeah, just 52 seconds separates the St. Norbert Celtics from a historic first championship under head coach Adrian Huntley, who has been with this program for an extremely long time. Former Manitoba Bison slot back in the 90s. Long legacy. He played his high school football at Fort Francis, looking to lead this Celtics side to the AAA crown. Caffley, low snap, fields it himself, tries to get away, taken down, and a good job there just to maintain possession.
Yeah, at this point, all you're trying to do is take as much time as possible, and Coach Zilkins is going to wisely use those timeouts. Ball security is going to be the issue. Caffley a little shaken up on this play. So hopefully St. Norbert has that emergency quarterback that can come in, take that snap, and the priority is mesh and ball security. Get the snap, control it, and the officials are going to say that he was not down, so he does not have to leave the game. If I'm Coach Zilkins, I'm probably arguing that. But it is allowing the quarterback who should be out there to be on the game. So again, as a fan, and not necessarily a defensive coach, I like that this is happening. Let the players play this out.
Caffley remains in this football game. 2nd down and 13. Big play for this Dryden Eagles defense as well, as Caffley hands this football off. Cut, breaking away from the first contact. Rylan Harder taken down at the 25-yard line, and there's a flag on the play as well. That play took just 7 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, with a block in the back, legal block, I'm not sure what the call is going to be here. I think they'll probably decline this to make it 3rd down. So he's just confirming Coach Zilkins what he wants him to do here. Yeah, okay, I'm getting the decline motion for Coach Zilkins. That's going to make it 3rd down, and St. Norbert's going to have to make their decision. And it looks like the punt team's already on their way out for a crucial punt, because if this return ends up in the end zone, it's been threatening all night. The Dryden returners have attacked the ball really well. They've controlled it really well.
St. Norbert is taking a Dryden is taking a timeout.
If the penalty was declined, so the penalty didn't actually matter. So, fan, if you are the one booing right now watching this later, you are very wrong, and you should control yourself. They're going to have an opportunity, Dryden is, to attack this ball in the air and get it in the end zone, which, football fan, not necessarily defensive coach, I'm excited to see. I want more football.
Two returners back for the Eagles at their own 50-yard line, as this one booted away by Weiss. Fielded at the 50 into into St. Norbert territory, down inside the 45-yard line. Tyson Langlis, and a late flag as well. 2 late flags, extracurriculars down.
So I think we're getting a face mask on the first flag, and I think we're going to get an objectionable conduct on the second flag. If that's the case, the face mask, both the penalties will be applied, because that objectionable conduct is that dead ball foul. It gets tacked on. It's entirely possible that Dryden's about to have this ball on the 10-yard line. Never mind. Both went against Dryden, and that is going to be absolutely devastating for them.
Unnecessary roughness.
Not the turn of events that the Eagles were looking for. They're hoping that Dan
Unnecessary
was
roughness.
right
Dryden,
on the
number
broadcast
21.
booth, but it goes the opposite direction.
First
And boy,
down.
oh boy, that is not what you want to see if you are the Eagles, who are now back at their own 37.
Yeah, that's an official dagger right there.
They're going to have a long ways to go, but you know what? I've been impressed by Moyer here in the 4th quarter, Dan. He's shown some impressive arm strength, and with pressure, putting the ball up, giving his receivers a chance. He's going to have to do that again here, as the time is not on the side of the Dryden Eagles.
And I like what St. Norbert has done here. They've gone to a single high shell. Earlier, they went too high, and it gave up yards. Put an athlete back there. Now you've got Huntley who can play that ball in the air.
Moyer going deep. That one is incomplete, excuse me. At the last second, that one dropping to the turf. Broden French was the intended target.
Yeah, Egan Hale doing a good job. Again, making that a difficult catch. Corner routes are open, but difficult. It's kind of some of those recurring themes on the evening here, and Egan or Hale doing a really good job making sure that is a difficult, and then helping create that incompletion.
Crowd getting animated from St. Norbert's side as they squad pumps them up. 23 seconds separate them from their first ever WHSFL championship. Moyer going deep, one-on-one coverage, incomplete, trying to make the grab over the shoulder. The intended target was Ethan Willis.
Yeah, and I think at this point, not to call it too early, I'd hate to jinx something else tonight, but with 17 seconds left, 2-score game, St. Norbert is probably looking to finish on a nice big high note, getting themselves into this win here. Getting that interception, getting a sack would just be a nice punctuation point on what this defense has done tonight. Dryden still sticking with what they do well.
Moyer on third down. This will be the last chance for the Eagles in this game, going deep, and that one is batted down and incomplete, and that will be a turnover on downs, and in fitting fashion, Dan, the 6th forced turnover from the Celtics.
Well, I'd love to agree with you, but we did just get roughing the passer. A defender came in low, and that is going to extend the drive for Dryden, which again, this is essentially going to be for naught here. Just an unfortunate
Norbert.
It's just
First
not necessarily
down.
the way you
Number
want
21.
this game to wrap up. Like, you hope that it kind of finishes with some clean football, but it does mean that Dryden's going to have one more chance for them to end their year potentially on a high note, even if the score doesn't necessarily end up mattering. Of course, again, you never know what's going to happen. It's still 11 seconds. But if they can finish on a high note, that's kind of what you're playing for right now, is we know that one of these teams, St. Norbert, is going to have a great night. Can Dryden kind of finish themselves off and put some points on the board and getting themselves out with some pride here?
Second consecutive drive for Dryden that remains on the field due to a penalty, as Moyer calls the shots under center, back to pass. Going deep once again in the air, and that ball is picked off, and this time it is the 6th turnover of the game for St. Norbert, and it is Rhett Hundley taking it away.
Yeah, that's a great exclamation point for that young man and for this team to be able to finish this game out. Now it's just a matter of taking the knee and enjoying the rest of the evening. And hopefully Dryden, they're gonna reflect on this game, I'm sure, for a while, but that's to take nothing away from what they were able to accomplish this year. Dryden has been a great program in our league for a long time, and they will continue to be great. They had a fantastic year. They worked hard to get out here, but congratulations to St. Norbert on being able to finish out a really phenomenal season.
One last snap, the clock winds down, and for the first time in the history of their program, the St. Norbert Celtics are Winnipeg High School Football League champions. AAA crown goes to the Celtics.
I'm just so happy for Coach Hundley. That is a man and a program, and I know all of his coaches, I'm sure, are just ecstatic for him and each other. It's always nice when your year finishes on a win. Not a lot of teams in our league get to finish the year on a win. And when that means that you're coming home as champions, when the last 10 months have kind of accumulated into this moment, that's a really special feeling, and Adrian Hundley absolutely deserves that, just like every player on that field working with him does too.
For our selections for Offensive Player of the Game, Rhett Hundley with some big receptions through the air. Defensive Player of the Game, Luis Vasconcelos, a couple sacks, big stuffs in the backfield, huge presence all game long, and Rylan Harder as the overall player MVP, two-way force at that running back position, and just in grade 9. Certainly a very bright future ahead for that individual. Vasconcelos, his career done on a high, champion, much like many of these St. Norbert seniors. Congratulations to both sides. We're going to tune out, allow these teams to celebrate, and we'll be back in a little over an hour for the Annabets Bowl. The biggest prize in high school football in Manitoba is on the line. Stay tuned.
boys, first of all, we would like to present the defensive player of the game. Dryden Eagles, number 90, Thomas Ski. And the offensive player of the game from St. Norbert Collegiate, number 11, and the recipient of the most valuable player from St. Norbert, number 25, and presenting the awards, we do have the commissioner of the Winnipeg High School Football League, Mr. Jeffrey Bannon. Now, could we have the captains of the Dryden Eagles to accept the finalist banner and photo?
I'm Cole Mullen, and I'm here with Rylan Harder of the St. Norbert Celtics. Rylan, how does it feel to be champions?
I don't know, it's crazy. We haven't been champions ever, so it's like our first time. And it's just wacky, and I don't know, it's crazy. It's exciting.
What was your overall mindset going into the second half of the game?
Just to create a bigger lead. We had one touchdown, and we just needed to be at a bigger lead, and we have to get a bigger lead on.
Rylan, thank you. And once again, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a wrap of our broadcast tonight. Congratulations to St. Norbert for winning the championship.
On the behalf of the LRSD TV team, thank you for watching. I'm Cole Malo.
And this is Vivek Prabhaharan.